welcome back to the show. Today we're talking about climbing the corporate ladder, and of course you're watching Inspiring Moments, the Dr. Amy Show, and we're talking about how to get promoted within corporate America. And I have with me today Ms. Judy Freeman, who is a business coach and specializes in helping individuals also to reach their goals within organization. Judy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Amy. I'm delighted to be
Great.
here.
I have so many questions for you, and I wrote quite a few down. But
Excellent.
if you would, just tell my viewing audience a little bit about yourself and how did you get into coaching?
Excellent. Well, I actually started my career as a CPA and then moved forward in sales and marketing. And when I decided to go out in business for my own, it seemed like coaching would be an automatic fit for me. Yes. I love helping people, realized the importance of soft skills, worked in corporate America for quite some time, and for the past 6 years I've been helping individuals and organizations reach their untapped potential.
Oh, well, great. So, of course, what we want to do is give some techniques to help people to get promoted within organizations. So the first questions that I want to ask you is, what sort of techniques and plans do you believe people are actually utilizing today? What are some of the things that you're seeing with the organizations that you're working with and with the clients that you're working with? I call it sometimes the secret, because everyone's not using the same techniques, and you see people moving up and up and up the ladder, and other people are still stuck where they were. They're not realizing these secrets of what people are doing. So what are some of the things that you're noticing?
Well, you're exactly right. The soft skills are so important, and there are 3 secrets that I wanted to share today.
Okay, great.
The first secret is actually finding a mentor.
Very important.
And that mentor can either be somebody within your organization, or better yet, somebody outside your organization. And the reason that that's important is that person can help you get where you want to go. Yes. They're an outside influence, a sounding board that can help the individual. I think a mentor is extremely important.
Yes.
A second point is clarity around your goals.
Very
One of the
important.
challenges that I see is oftentimes people want to get promoted, but they don't really understand what they want to do. And if you have some clarity around your goals, that way you're able to put the right strategies in place to get where you want to be.
Yes.
And then finally, really knowing yourself. Know your strengths and weaknesses. If you know your strengths and weaknesses, you're going to be able to address those and help determine the right path to get where you want to go on that corporate ladder. So those are 3 secrets that I see working well for individuals.
And it's amazing because I believe in those same things. One of the first things that I always tell my clients is you have to be very clear on what you want. It's like a target, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't know what you're aiming for, you can just be hitting all over the place. So the first thing is definitely to be very clear. I call crystal clear on what your desires are. So is it that you want to be a manager? Do you want to be a director? Your goal is to be a CEO? Well, there are different steps that you have to take. And I like that as far as using a mentor. Of course, I like to tell people to use a coach, but a mentor is important because it was very important for me too, working with an organization, because that mentor probably would have already walked down the road that you want to go down. So you can start to ask them that, what jobs did you take? What promotions did you take? What training classes did you take? What did you actually use to get to where you want to go? But let me ask you this too. What are some of your thoughts then on how someone can actually get a leg up or an advance? Now, we talked about those 3 things on the competition and get promoted quickly. So those are the main 3 things that you think, or can you think about anything else?
Well, I can think of some other things that are equally as important.
Okay.
Once you've identified those secrets, it's important to keep learning.
Yes.
I consider it to be a continuous learning path. So for example, once you've got that clarity, you've got to say, okay, what are the things that I need to learn? And you can learn in many ways, whether it be courses internally within your company, or whether it be books or other courses that you can take at universities or other curriculum. As you know, the soft skills are the things that we all need to learn. So the tips that I have for people is to really round out the resume and help them get where they want to go by determining what some of those gaps are in their skill set.
Right. I think that's very important. And I'm telling you out there, this is something that's very important. And these are the secrets that people are actually using to get promoted. Now, when we talk about soft skills, as I mentioned before, it's just really its value as a vital element. So as I said before, it's things like looking at your communication skill. Are you an expert in that area? Emotional intelligence is one of those secrets that we talk about, and is really being aware of your strengths and weaknesses and really utilizing those. For me, I don't focus on my weaknesses, but I really hone in on my strengths and do that 150%. And when you become an expert at your strength, people tend to forget about your weaknesses. So that's something that's very important. So as I said before, I'm just looking at my list here of some of the things that I had. Team building, conflict resolution. If you can work within an organization and be the expert at solving other people's problems, that's what people are looking for within organizations today. So that's very important. So what are some of the other things that you can actually think about, Judy, or I should say to you, what are some of the recommendations that you can give our viewing audience that will help them appropriately sell or promote themselves? Because a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to promote myself or sell myself in an organization. I say to them, you probably then will not be the person getting promoted. Can you think about some recommendations?
Exactly. Well, first of all, in today's marketplace, it's very important that people exceed the expectations in their current role. We're all given tasks or responsibilities, and if we can do more than that, and as you said, be a problem solver and be that go-to person, they're going to be apt to give you additional responsibilities. Secondly, what I find is that you need to get exposure cross-functionally if you want to grow within the organization.
I call that stretch assignments.
Okay, stretch assignments. Okay, so as you're getting that cross-functional assignment, you're able to meet other people within the organization, and as you develop those relationships, that's going to help your exposure, and people are going to get to know and like you.
Yes.
Another key thing that I find is what I would call above the line behavior. And when I say above the line, I mean accept ownership, accountability, and responsibility for everything you do.
Yes.
Don't be one of those naysayers that's below the line, putting blame on other people. And, you know, last but certainly not least, I think it's important to understand the corporate culture.
Very important.
If you understand the culture that you're working in, that's going to help dramatically as far as you being able to share those values and those beliefs and being in accordance with the culture that you're working in. You're going to rise to the top if you can understand those rules of the game in that specific culture.
Right. And that's why I think it's important to make sure that you have a mentor within the organization, because that person can help you to sort of navigate through the company, right? They know what the corporate culture is. And when we're talking about corporate culture, we're talking about what works within the organization, the good, the bad, the ugly, but what's the ins and out about the organization? And sometimes people don't take the time to learn the corporate culture. Who's the person that really has the power within the organization? And sometimes you can have people actually leading a group and they don't have a formal title. So you need to know the corporate culture. And also, you know, playing that political game, you have to have a plan. If you know you want to get promoted, you need to learn, you know, get to know the key players and to know who do you need to sell your skills to. So is it my boss? Will my boss champion my skills, or will I need to get in front of my boss's boss? And that's where the stretch assignments are so important, because you can also volunteer then to get on another project and let another manager get to see you shine. And one of the other things that I'd like to tell people also is when you're on par and you know you want to get promoted, you have to do what the average person is not willing to do.
That's exactly right.
Isn't that major?
That's exactly right. Another point that I wanted to make that complements this is you also need to be well liked by your peer group as well as your subordinates. So it's always manage the manager, but also manage the people who are within your group and the folks who report or don't even report to you, but other folks within the organization.
Judy, that's
you need to
very
be well
important,
liked
yes.
across the board, so that as you're promoted, you're well respected by everybody. And that's what really becomes the leaders within the organization, are those people that everyone looks up to because of their character. And as you said, it's the soft skills that everyone sees.
Right. Because, you know, when we talk about being an effective leader, you know, if you don't have people following you, then who are you leading?
Exactly.
So, and you don't want to just tell somebody like a kid, follow me. And the way this happens is, I always say leadership equals trust.
Exactly.
So your peers, the people that you work with now, you have to find a way for them to build trust in you when you know your goal is to move up the ladder, because the last thing you want to be concentrating on is to have people who are negative towards you or feel like you put them down or stepped on them in order to move up. You want them to feel like your promotion is their promotion, is about us, and so that's something that's very important. And also, what about the idea, I wrote down here, really networking within your organization to get the attention of key decision maker and upper management. What do you think about that?
I think that's extremely important. And within that, I think it's very important to understand that we all communicate differently.
We do.
You mentioned the 360 profiles that you work on. I also work with what's called the DISC profiles.
Very important.
And I find that if people truly understand that we communicate differently and understand enough about a methodology, whether it be DISC or something else, they're able to realize that what's going to motivate the other people within their team is going to be slightly different than them.
Absolutely.
And as a result, they're able to communicate more effectively and get along with everyone. You know, when you're young, you wonder, well, why doesn't everybody get it when I talk this way? And it's because we all communicate differently and we're all motivated differently. The earlier in anyone's career that they can understand the keys to the communication styles, the quicker they're going to be able to progress.
Absolutely. So let me just tell you what the 360 and the DISC, two terms that we mentioned. A 360-degree assessment is actually you are asking your peers, your boss, your customers, and people around you to assess you on your abilities. And then what you do, you take that information and try to find a way to gap the weaknesses so you can become better. And then DISC is one of those tools that we use as like a personality assessment. So if you want to grow and develop and get promoted within organizations, you need to learn how to get along with other people. And that personality assessment, whether it's a DISC or the Myers-Briggs type indicator, those things actually help you to understand other personalities, which then you can utilize to better get along with someone else. So all of those are great ideas. Now, let me just ask you this. What are some of the techniques that you can actually provide to get someone promoted in their companies, other than some of the things that we're talking about? Any other specifics that you can think about? I'm just thinking, get a leg up. What can we actually do? We talked about the 360-degree assessment, which is very good, that personality assessment, stretch assignments, all of these things are going to make you stand out from the crowd without stepping on someone else. Anything else you can think about?
Well, I often call it identify your unique selling proposition.
I like that. And, now tell me more.
We can call it your USP, or your unique selling proposition, and that is what makes you uniquely valuable to that organization. What are you going to be able to do that's your unique skill set or personality or whatever that no one else can do?
So this is like adding value.
Exactly.
Yes, tell me more.
So the more that you can identify the different ways you can add value and be able to articulate that to folks, the more likely you are going to be to either create your own job or get the right type of profile to be promoted into new positions.
Yes.
As you mentioned, most organizations are flat now. They're not adding layers. So as a result, the more you can come up with creative ideas to help the organization grow and potentially even develop a new role for yourself that brings value and profitability to the organization, the more likely you are to continue to flourish. So again, it's the unique selling proposition, or your USP, that clarity around your USP, that's going to get you where you want to be.
I like that a lot, and I've never heard that term, but I know it's used a lot. One of my clients, for example, I was working with at one of the companies, and he was good at capturing information for the business development team. And for about 3 years he did that. He was the go-to person. He became very good. He was the go-to person. And I was just talking with someone from the company the other day, and he's now the director of capture management. I'm like, never even heard a title like that before, but he's now a director within the organization just by being patient and being one of the best in that particular field. So it definitely can happen. So I'm thinking here, anything else that you could...
Another idea that I would have, and it of course depends on clarity around your goals, but another idea that I often have, which you're alluding to in that example, is become a subject matter expert. Okay? When I say subject matter expert, I mean be the one who's the go-to person in a specific area. Once you've got that expertise, you're developing your own value proposition or your own net worth within the company. People are going to want to keep you and promote you, and other folks are going to gravitate towards you. So again, depending on your personality and what your goals are, but a subject matter expert is another one of those keys to success or secrets that you're referring to.
And something else that just came to mind as you said that, now as you become a subject matter expert, it's also important then to make sure that you're training somebody else coming up behind you. I find that a lot of individuals, one of the main problems that they do, and I say this is something of the past, they want to hoard their position, hoard their knowledge, and what tends to happen when you become the only person that knows that job, you hadn't trained anybody, you hadn't mentored anybody, chances are you're so good at what you do that you're not going to get promoted because the company will feel that nobody else can do that job. So one of the things that I tell people within organizations and my coaching clients, as you're progressing and you become that subject matter expert, it's very important to train somebody else. So develop the right idea, the right attitude, think big, focus on the corporate culture, and make sure you're adding value to the organization. And something else that's very important too, have someone to be your champion within the organization. Find out what people in the positions you desire did to get to where they are, what training classes they took, what types of stretch assignments they volunteered for, what positions did they actually have prior to the position that they're in that prepared them for where they are now. So these are a whole lot of different things that you can actually do. And also what I would like to say to you also, find a way to motivate yourself. Learn how to sell or promote yourself in any given situation. Now, while maintaining a high level of personal motivation at the same time is very important. And keep this in mind, motivation is the fuel you use to power yourself up that corporate ladder. And you'll also need to know how to communicate your ideas. What I like to say is in a crisp, concise terms along the way. And of course, I can't leave without saying, if you really want to get promoted within the corporation, hire a success coach, an executive coach, an action coach, a business coach, anyone out there who can focus on you and help you to map out that plan to get you to the next step on that ladder, and also to assist you and motivate you to become the person that you really want to become. So as we're getting ready to get to the end, Judy, is there anything else you can think about very quickly that you would like to add?
Gosh, Dr. Amy, I believe you've summed it up so well. We definitely can help folks out there get where they want to be and live the career of their dreams.
Great, and that's what we want to do. So in closing, I just want to say to you, remember, if you want to get promoted, you must be able to stand out from the crowd and do a few things that others may not want to do. be a problem solver. If you want to get promoted, be an excellent communicator. If you want to get noticed, you have to do these things, and you have to map out a plan to get to the level on the ladder where you desire, and don't leave it to chance. If your goal is to climb the corporate ladder at the company you're working for now, then you'll need to know how to climb it, right? It may not be a typical straight ladder, so you need to have a plan before you start climbing that ladder, and you'll first need to know what level on the ladder you're starting from and how many steps you need to climb to get to where you want to be. Some may say that this is politically savvy, and you know what I say? I say it's just plain smart. So what I want to say to you today is thank you for joining us, and be sure to tune into the next show. And also remember to send your comments and questions about the show to Dr. Amy at amyhimes.com. And also let me know what psychology-based topics and subjects you would like to learn more about. And you can also follow me on my blog at developyourmindset.blogspot.com. And I developed that just for you so you can pick up some success strategies in between the times we get to see each other here on the show. So again, I said thank you for joining me, and also my heartfelt thanks to my crew and to my guest, Miss Judy Freeman.